Hello guys, and welcome to another community featured build. Today we have a Stamina Sorcerer Sword and Board dual wield build by TheJokeer, and this is a very fast brawler style Stamina Sorcerer build. Not only is it great in a straight up fight, but it has got some crazy speed and a great set of tools in its kit in order to not only stay fast but escape from a large amount of foes as well. Now this build is designed for a non-champion campaign, but I did include some champion point breakdown for it, as well as some tips on what you want to do to the build if you want to play it in a champion campaign. A huge thank you to TheJokeer for sending this build in. A link to his YouTube channel is in the description below, so go and check this man's channel out, guys. If you want to submit your own build for a build feature, you can send it in to KristoferESO at hotmail.com. So without further ado, let's take a look at this build. So to begin, this is a no CP build. So this build is intended for the non-champion campaign, and I'm going to show you guys the stat page, and we're going to go through it without champion points on this build. But don't worry, I will also show you guys what the build looks like if we throw some champion points on it as well. But because TheJokeer made this build for no CP, we will be going through it in a no CP kind of environment here. So for the race on this build, guys, TheJokeer has gone with Redguard, and this build was given to me prior to these patch notes that were kind of announced for the upcoming patch. And he chose Redguard pretty much for the max stam and the sustain that it gives. However, this build has kind of hidden synergy with what Redguard's getting in this incoming patch, because we are running the Ranger set for 50% snare immunity on this build. It actually stacks really well with the new passive that Redguard is getting, Martial Training, which reduces the effectiveness of snares applied to us by 15%. So this build is actually going to have 65% reduced incoming snare effectiveness, which is really nice, help keeping this build mobile. So for that reason, I say Redguard is definitely the choice that you want to pick for this build. So to begin, guys, we have got 11k magicka, 21, almost 22k health, and 29k stamina. And we switch to our dual wield bar, and we actually go up to over 30k, almost 30.5k stamina. So pretty nice max stats, especially since we don't have any champion points. So yeah, nice big bulky stats. We got a lot of magicka to work with. That's going to be great. We don't have a huge mag sustain coming out of our recovery, but we are running a set for magicka recovery, so having that that bigger pool is going to be nice. 22k HP in no CP is pretty sweet, especially for a medium armor build. You cannot go wrong with that. And then 30k stamina plus in the no CP campaign is really awesome too. Really great stats, I think, for the non-champion. Now, taking a look at the regen side of things, we're just going to buff up with the potion, and as you guys can see, this build is rocking some pretty sweet sustain for the no CP campaign. We've got 2,200 stamina recovery, only the 585 magicka recovery. However, we are running the prisoner set, so that's going to give us a huge amount of magicka sustain when we sprint, the equivalent of 2k recovery while sprinting, but that's only while sprinting, so we're going to get a huge amount of magicka back like that. We are, of course, a medium armor build, so really great to get our mag sustain via sprinting in medium armor. Our health recovery is coming in at 1100. We are running the Troll King. When we buff up with our potion and the Troll King, we have over 3,500 health recovery on this spec. Absolutely fantastic sustains. So as you guys can see here, this build is rocking awesome max stat and awesome sustain for the no CP campaign. Now, taking a look at our weapon damage as well as our weapon crit here, we're coming in at 2,592 weapon damage on 40% weapon crit for no CP. So the weapon damage is a little bit on the low side, but the fact that we have a big max stam pool is going to help make up for that. We fully buff with our enchant as well, so we're going to go around 2,900 weapon damage fully buffed on this spec. And then the weapon crit's coming in at 40%. That's actually really awesome for no CP. In no CP, people tend to have lower crit rates than they do in the champion campaign just overall. A lot of people running heavy armor and stuff too. So having that 40% crit rate is actually pretty sweet, I think, for the medium armor build. And it should help you put in some good damage in the no CP campaign on this spec. Now, when we buff up our armor and our crit resist on this build, we have got 20k physical spell resist and then 1,300 critical resistance. We are in the non-champion campaign, so that's not so bad, I think. Pretty good resists, pretty good crit resist for a medium armor build. fairly appropriate, I think. The Mundus we're running on this build is the Steed. This is going to give us max movement speed and health recovery. This build is designed to be fast and kitey and use that speed not only to get away, but get the resource back and turn and fight. The Steed is going to be a fantastic Mundus for that. And then on top of it, the health recovery that it gets is going to be really nice because, of course, we're just pushing that really high health recovery on this spec. And then we have the Artaeum Takeaway Broth as our food. This is going to increase the max health and the max stamina of this build, as well as the stamina and health recoveries. Really awesome food for this spec, guys. I would highly recommend going for it. If you cannot afford the Artaeum Takeaway Broth, you can always go for the Dubious Cameroon Throne. It does the same thing, but does not give you the health recovery, and it's a lot cheaper to buy. Just kind of a cheap alternative. And then for the potions on this spec, we go with the Essence of Weapon Crit, and this is just to help give us that buff that we're missing. The Major Savagery buff is going to come from here, and it's going to give us the Major Fortitude and Major Endurance buffs for our stamina and health recovery, as well as give us resource back. Very important buffs coming out of the potion for this build, I think, as well as the sustain that it gives. Really, really nice. Alright guys, so taking a look at this build with champion points on it, I even buffed up with the potion. As you guys can see, the stats are a lot higher, and the fact that our stats and regen are going to be a lot higher, it just means that we're going to be able to drop some of our max HP, some of our max magicka, as well as drop some of our regen in the stam recovery department, and pretty much dump it into weapon damage and max stam for the champion campaign. It'll have the same kind of sustain that it does in no CP, but it'll just hit even harder. And as you guys can see, it's got some pretty nice max stat. 13.5k magicka, 24.5k health, 35k stamina, nice big stam pool, 2,400 stam recovery, and then the health recovery is going to be probably over 4k. So really, really nice max stat on the no CP version, or on the CP version of this build. And then when we check out our armor as well, we see our armor coming in at almost 25k physical spell resist on our sword and board bar, and then we've got 2,400 to 2,600 crit resist as well. So a lot more crit resist and armor, and then that 50% weapon crit in the CP campaign as well. So as you guys can see, the CP stats are a lot bulkier, and it just means you'll be able to go more damage and take out a little bit of the sustain and the bulk. Alright guys, so let's take a look at the gear that we're running on this build. So to begin, the first set we've got is the Troll King, and we mentioned this before, it's going to give us a little bit of bonus healing done, and then when we heal a friendly target that's below 50% HP, their health recovery will be increased by 1548 for 10 seconds. Absolutely fantastic set for this build. You count as a friendly target for yourself, so you'll be able to buff your health recovery super high, over 3,000 health recovery on this spec when you get that Troll King proc. And it allows the Joker to pretty much just run Vigor as his primary heal for this build. We do have Surge 2 on this build for healing, but Vigor and Troll King plus Surge got a lot of healing power here, and it's going to work really well on the Stam Sorc. The next set that we have is the Ranger set, and this is a really great set just for PvP in general, and the Joker picked this guy to give him kind of immunity to incoming snares. Now, this is a double whammy, I think, because Redguard in this coming patch is also getting a 15% reduced effectiveness of incoming snares as well. So Redguard has a passive that will make them resistant to snares that stacks with this. So on a Redguard Sorc, we are 65% immune to incoming snares. Really, really nice, I think, for the Sorcerer. It allows this build to essentially move very quickly and ignore a lot of the snares that are on the ground. So on top of it, this is also going to give us a lot of stamina recovery, some weapon crit, and some maximum stam. So a lot of just bulk stat that this build needs coming out of this set as well. And then the next set that we have is the Prisoner set, and this is only on the Sword and Board bar. Really, really nice set for a Sorc, I think. We've got the max stam, stam recovery, and then when we sprint, we get 1,000 magicka back every 1 second, and we reduce the cost of sprint by 50%. Really, really great for the Sorc. It synergizes really well on this build. We're going to be doing a lot of sprinting. We are very immune to snares, so our sprint is going to be very effective because we can't get snared very well in it. And then on top of it, the magicka return is just going to allow you to streak, sprint, dark deal, streak, sprint, dark deal, and you'll be able to have great sustain even in the no CP campaigns and be able to get away from things and stay mobile. So this setup on the Sorc here is just really great for all-around mobility on that medium armor Stam Sorc and that sustain that it gives. Now, taking a look at the last set that we have, it is the Master dual-wield weapons. We have got an axe and a dagger, and this is going to increase the bleed damage of the twin slashes by 1350 each tick, just giving us super nasty bleed damage on this build with the twin slashes. Now for the traits, the Joker has gone with Precise and Infused for his dual wield bar here. Precise on the main weapon, Infused on the back bar, and the enchants on these bad boys are the physical damage and restore stam enchant with the Oblivion damage enchant on the Infused. Now, in this coming patch, as you guys can see here, dual wield enchants have been nerfed to only be 50% effective because they're on essentially dual wield weapons. So you do have the option of course, running the double poisons here in your poison slot instead of going for the enchants. But it's kind of up to you. I think that this is going to be a little bit more burst, but the poisons will be better damage over time in the long run. And if you opt out of going for the enchants here and decide to go poisons, you can always go for double precise here, or even go for a Nirnhoned weapon. And something I did want to mention is that the Joker decided to go for precise instead of Nirnhoned on his Master Axe. I actually really like this. We could have gone for Nirnhoned, but the Sorc has a lot of synergy out of having that higher crit rate, especially with things like Critical Surge giving them healing when they land crits. So I think precise is all around the better option here for this build. And then on the front bar, guys, we have got a defending sword with the weapon spell damage enchant. Now, defending was the option on this sword, I think, because we're going to be doing a lot of sprinting on our sword and board bar. So we won't actually be doing a lot of blocking, but we want to have some bulk on this bar while we're moving because, well, we got to sprint. So I think that's the reason that the Joker went with defending here, and I really like that choice there too. And then on the shield, he decided to go with impenetrable. Now, I know the first question you might have is, why didn't he pick sturdy here? I think he went with impen because, yet again, we're going to be doing a lot of sprinting on this bar, and you can't block while sprinting. So impen is going to give defense while sprinting as well as a defense bonus while blocking. So it is the all-around better choice, I think, for the sword and board bar. And then the enchant on this bad boy, of course, is a maximum stamina enchant to increase that max stam on this bar. Now, taking a look at the jewelry, guys, we have got full triune jewelry with stamina recovery, reduce the cost of stamina abilities, and weapon damage. So a really nice mix of enchants here, focused around sustain with a little bit of damage to come in. So I like this spread here, really great. The reduced cost is an interesting choice too because we've got a lot of sprinting, blocking, and roll dodging going on in this medium armor build that is rocking sword and board. So the reduced cost is a really great option because it will affect those as well. Now for the triune choice here, I also really like this because this is a no CP build. I really feel like it needs the bulk from triune here. If you guys are going to play this in a champion campaign, I don't think you need to go triune here, and you can opt out for maybe infused jewelry and put a little bit more of whatever sustain or damage you want on this build. But for the no CP environment, I think triune is definitely the best bet for the amount of max stat bulk that it gives this build, and it helps make up for the lack of those champion points. Now, checking out the gear, guys, we have got a mix of impenetrable and well-fitted. 4 impen and 3 well-fitted. Really nice setup for medium armor PvP, I think. Well-fitted, very valuable in medium armor. We got a lot of sprinting on this build, too. We got a lot of roll dodging, so well-fitted is going to be a great option. And then, of course, impen, all around the best defensive trait for armor in PvP. And the enchants on the gear, we have gone with 4 maximum stamina enchants on our little pieces. And then the Joker decided to go for the tri-stat Hacky Joes on his big pieces here as well. Like I had mentioned, this is a no CP build. If you take this into a CP environment, you could potentially change these just to stamina enchants, push a little bit more damage, as your CP will give you the bulk stats that these are kind of making up for. Alright guys, so taking a look at the abilities that we're rocking on this build, we're going to start on the front bar, the dual wield bar. So the first ability we have is Bound Armaments, and this is here to give a little bit of a maximum stamina increase on this front bar, as well as the light attack damage bonus that it gives. This build has a really rockin' amount of max stam, even for the no CP build. 30k is pretty sweet, so I really like the choice of putting Bound Armaments here to bulk that max stam even further. And the light attack damage is also great too, just to make those weaves even stronger. And we get a little bit of block mitigation here. We won't be blocking a lot on the dual wield bar, but, you know, doesn't hurt. The next ability that we have is Blood-Crazed, And this is this build's primary damage over time. It synergizes, of course, with the Master Dual Wield that we have, giving that crazy strong bleed damage over the 9 seconds. And then, of course, you heal yourself for 1k health every 2 seconds during the duration of this as well. Really great because it'll help proc the Troll King while we're aggressive, so we don't have to actively defensively heal. And, of course, the amount of damage this thing can deal with the Master Weapons, absolutely insane. The next ability we have is Steel Tornado. This is this build's primary execute. It is a very powerful execute. It deals 3k base damage up to 100% more based on the opponent's missing percentage of their health. So it can deal huge amounts of damage, and it's an AoE that cannot be dodged, so it's really great at killing opponents that are trying to roll away as well. Now, the next skill that we have is Critical Surge. This is a really great skill for this build. A big reason why this build has a higher crit rate is to make good use of that crit surge. It's also going to be access to the Major Brutality as well, so giving us a little bit of that weapon damage too. But we get that nice big healing, 3,635 health, and this can, of course, occur every 1 second while you're actively dealing damage, so you're landing a lot of crits, and you'll get really good use out of the crit surge. The next ability that we have is Quick Cloak. This is going to be this build's access to Major Expedition as well as Major Evasion to reduce the incoming AoE damage that we take, and it has that AoE dot. This synergizes really well on the Sorc yet again with Hurricane. So between Hurricane, Blood-Crazed, and our Quick Cloak, we can put a lot of AoE ambient pressure on people, slash damage over time pressure. So a really great combo of attacks for the Stam Sorc, synergizing really hard with the kits that they have. And then, of course, the ultimate on this bar is the Dawnbreaker of Smiting. This is going to be your big burst ult for this build. Got a nice big smack with it, a big stun, and then a nice beefy damage over time as well. Really great because we do have a lot of AoE, and it synergizes really well with the AoE execute from Steel Tornado. Now, taking a look at our support bar, the Sword and Board bar, the Joker has put Hurricane as the first ability here, and this is going to be the primary physical and spell resistance buff for the build. It also gives us access to Minor Expedition, stacking with the Steed Mundus, giving us 20% faster movement over top of a regular medium armor build in PvP. So this build is packing some nice speed, and Hurricane's going to play into that. It also deals that big amount of physical damage every 1 second. It doesn't seem like a huge amount, but it increases by up to 150% more, and it increases in size as the effect goes on. So it deals great amount of damage, synergizing yet again with our other AoEs. The next ability we have is Dark Deal. This is a really great ability for this build because we have the Prisoners set, so it'll allow us to do a lot of sprinting into Dark Deal, into Sprint, into Dark Deal. A really great burst heal for this build, returning stamina and, of course, additional stamina over the 20 seconds. Really, really great skill, I think. This Stam Sorc is going to get a lot of use, and this build in particular, the Joker gets a lot of use on his Dark Deal, so a very, very good skill for this build. The next skill we have is Reverberating Bash. This is going to be your primary stun for the build. Not only is it a great stun, but on top of it, it afflicts your opponent with Major Defile for that healing debuff and health recovery debuff. Very, very deadly. It's going to allow this build to put a lot of pressure out and keep the pressure up by having that healing debuff down on the opponent. The next ability we have is Resolving Vigor, and this is your primary heal, I think, for the build. We, of course, have Dark Deal, but it's more of a movement-based heal. Vigor is more of that primary heal that you want to have up all the time, and it's going to be a great heal over time for this build. It, of course, will proc our Troll King because it's a heal over time. If we use the Vigor, our health drops below 50. We have Troll King and Vigor up. Really, really, really nice. The next skill that we have, guys, is Ball of Lightning. Now, I like the Joker's choice to go for Ball of Lightning here because it yet again synergizes really well with the build that he's put together here. Ball of Lightning is going to allow you to teleport around in that flashy Sorc style, and of course, you'll leave behind a ball that will absorb incoming projectiles for 2.5 seconds. This is really great. The projectile absorb is really nice because this build, you want to sprint, streak, Dark Deal, sprint, streak, and that's essentially how you're going to get away with some roll dodges and blocks in there as well. And the Ball of Lightning is going to be great because it'll absorb a lot of projectiles, making it very hard for people to chase you down and continue to shoot you as you teleport and run away as well. So a really, really great morph choice, I think, for this build instead of going for streak, especially since we have the stun covered well by Reverberating Bash. And for the ultimate, guys, I actually have Dawnbreaker here, but I should not. We have got Temporal Guard, and this is a really great ultimate, especially for any movement-based medium armor build. The faster you are, the better this ultimate becomes, because you can cover a lot of distance, hit that teleport, go back to where you were 4 seconds ago, you get all your health and resources back that you had at that moment too. Really, really nice on a build like this. You guys will see it in the footage. The Joker does a great job using this ultimate to absolutely kite out Zergs and get away from some really tough situations. On top of it, this will also give us the minor protection, reducing the damage we take on our sword and board bar by 8%. Yet again, a great bonus to this build because we're going to be doing a lot of sprinting and movement and running away on the sword and board bar. So having that minor protection on this bar is really great too. You can, of course, go for the other morph that allows you to use this ultimate while stunned. It is a nice morph to have, but that minor protection, man, really great too. Alright guys, so like I had mentioned, this is a no CP build, but I did want to include a set of champion points in case you guys were interested in trying this out in a champion campaign. Like I had noted earlier, if you guys want to do this build in a champion campaign, I would recommend taking out some of the max stat and some of the regen enchants on the jewelry and going for that bigger weapon damage and that bigger max stam on this spec. So to begin, guys, in the tower tree, we have got 18 sprinter, 31 warlord, and 3 bashing focus. Focus on breaking free, followed by sprinting and a little bit of bash. We are not primary sword and board damage bar, so the bash is not a huge part of the rotation on this build either. So yeah, lots of sprinting though, because we are running the prisoner set, and the Joker's got a sprint. Taking a look at the lover tree, we've got 64 mooncalf and 64 in healthy. Just split between these two trees here for 13% regen between the two. Really nice because these are our primary regens. And then the important passive, of course, is wind running for a little bit of movement speed, and then the bonus to our recoveries while we're sprinting as well. Lots of sprinting on this build. Taking a look at the shadow tree, we have got 51 tumbling, 37 shadow ward, and 2 in befoul. A focus, of course, on tumbling. We're in medium armor, going to be doing a lot of roll dodging on this build, followed by shadow ward for that block. Block's going to be great because we do have the sword and board bar, and then a little bit in befoul for that healing debuff, but it's not super important. It's kind of up to the user more than anything, how strong you want your heal debuff to be off your stun. Now, taking a look at the blue tree, we're going to skip to the Atronach. We've got 81 in Mastered Arms and 39 Physical Weapon Expert. Very standard Atronach tree for a physical build. And then, of course, we get that Tactician passive, set an opponent off balance with a roll dodge when we dodge an attack. Really, really nice, and synergizes with our Exploiter passive in the Ritual tree to give us 10% bonus damage against an off-balance opponent. Really nice. And then, of course, a partial charged heavy or a fully charged heavy can stun an off-balanced opponent. So it gives you an option to add an extra stun as well to your gameplay. And in the Ritual tree, we've got 43 mighty, 40 piercing, 30 precise, and 37 in Thaum. Focus just kind of spread between the Ritual tree. We've got a lot of damage over time, we've got a lot of upfront burst, and we've got quite a few crits as well. So I decided that probably the best way to go would be a nice split focus here for the Joker's build. Looking at his gameplay, he had a lot of damage sources, so I thought this was probably the best way to do it. A really great passive that we also get from this tree is the Last Stand passive. When we drop below 20% health, we gain Major Heroism, giving us extra ult. So this is really nice just for PvP in general, because you will drop below 20% health at some point during PvP. Now, taking a look at the Steed Tree, guys, got a nice stacked Steed, 61 Ironclad, 60 Resistant, 30 Spell Shield, and 30 Medium Armor Focus. A lot of bulk in the Steed Tree here. Just focusing on reducing incoming direct damage and incoming critical damage. Really important for the CP campaigns. And then increasing our base armor as well. Also really nice just to make us a little bit bulkier. Taking a look at the Lady Tree, 27 Hardy, 27 Elemental, and 28 Thick Skin. Just a nice even spread to reduce all incoming damage types, be it physical, magical, or damage over time. And then finally in the Lord Tree, just 7 points in quick recovery for a little bit of additional healing power. And there you go, guys. That is the build. All right, guys, so let's jump into that PvP commentary. So as you guys can see, the Joker and a friendly Templar are on a resource that they're trying to flip, and a bunch of red are going to try to stop them. And here you get to see him open with his rotation on these guys. He sets his dots, make sure he's got all his buffs up, and then goes into the Steel Tornado. And this build doesn't really have a spammable outside of his execute, so he's got to make sure that before he starts getting any kind of spammable damage on them, he's set his full combo on top of them. And as you can see here, he's doing just that, making sure to keep the pressure on these guys, resetting his Hurricane, resetting his quick cloak, and just continuing to dot these guys up and get the tornado as their health begins to drop. But here comes a massive AD Zerg. There we see the Temporal Guard coming in clutch with that super awesome teleport to get out of there. A couple of streaks through the Zerg, and he may have taken a lot of range damage, but we couldn't really tell because, of course, he used his streak, which is going to absorb those incoming projectiles. And there you see he finds a couple enemy players that his friendly player is fighting here, and they just quickly take them both down. And now they've got three more yellow to fight on the back here. This guy's taken a lot of damage after they dot him up. The Templar goes for the pressure. This guy's very low HP. He goes for some tornadoes. The Dragon Knight quickly heals himself, so he goes for a target shift to the same target as the Templar, bringing that guy down with the execute as well. Really nice kite into the tower and turn and burn there. Nice clean gameplay. And now they're just going to kill the guards up at the top here and wait for more yellow to come and engage with them. And as you can see, he's going to put down a ballista just to attract some yellow up. And here they come. We got a couple yellow coming around the corner. He makes sure to dot both of them up right away. Takes a nasty stun there. Breaks it. Gets a great tornado, bringing down a player there. Redots this guy, goes for the tornadoes. He dies from the fall damage, and now he's going to shoot the ballista again, try to pull a few more yellow up here. But in this fight here, you guys get to really see at the beginning of it the durability and the damage of this build. It's got great damage, it's got great durability, and it can fight and brawl and use the mobility when it needs to. And as you guys can see here, there is a massive brawl going on between red and yellow. And yeah, Joker's just here with his friendly blue player. A couple yellow come up. There you see the dots into the big Dawnbreaker. Big damage on those guys, bringing that player down. Tries to put pressure into the other player here, but ends up falling after his streak. Sees a lone yellow player, and here we see the full combo. He dots him up into two tornadoes, bringing that guy down right away. And now he's just going to come back up the top. His friendly player has gone down, and this is where we get to see the speed of this build. There's the streaks absorbing the projectiles. There's the healing, the sprinting to keep the magicka up, and just look at his magicka bar, the dark deal, the sprint, and the streak, just like we said. And look at how fast he is. Oh my gosh, chasing a Stamsork across Cyrodiil is the absolute worst. And look at this, he gets the camp up in time. He's so fast, he gets away from the Zerg, gets the camp up, saving his friendly player. There's the massive precog with the kite away from the camp. Oh my god, that was an IQ 9000 play. There's nothing else to say. Absolutely brilliant. And he manages to get the friendly player out as well. And the Templar is at a disadvantage here because, of course, the Templar is going to be a lot slower than the Stamsork. So the Joker is making sure to use his mobility to help throw the Zerg off so his friendly player can get away as well. And as you guys can see here, he's pretty hurting for resource, but as long as he keeps sprinting, he's got a lot of Dark Deal to work with, and he's got his potion up, so he's just being patient here. A really great call with the Stamsork because, of course, he can conserve so much resource. Huge Dawnbreaker splash on the first guy there with his friendly players combo to bring him down, and now he's just going to turn and dot up all of the enemy players that he can here. There's a nasty Blood-Crazed there, goes for the execute, bringing him down. A nasty Meteor comes in, he breaks it right away, streaks through it. Really great call, absorbing the projectiles, occasionally throwing that streak down in the fight. Sees the low HP player there, Blood-Crazed into the execute to bring him down. And now we've got a yellow going for the res here. We can't have any of that. There we see the full combo. He dots him up, goes for the stun. There's the execute. Oh my gosh. And the rest of the yellow quickly disperse after that showing of strength. And these guys are just going to continue running around looking for more yellow to fight here. So they find a few yellow, trying to pick up the bodies from before as they head back. A really nasty combo on that guy there. Nice dot up into the Dawnbreaker execute. Goes for the opposing player here that the friendly player is putting pressure into. Seeing he's still tanking out that execute, but nope. The Joker commits to the squishy player there, quickly brings him down, and then turns onto this guy here. And there you see the kill. Really, really nice fight. Absolutely excellent gameplay. I really hope that you guys enjoyed that. If you guys liked this build, check out this man's channel. A link to his channel, of course, is in the description below. If you guys liked what you saw here, feel free to hit that like button. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. And like I had mentioned before, if you guys want to submit your own builds or you want to submit footage for a top 5 PvP battles, you guys can send it in to KristoferESO@hotmail.com. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys want to catch live gameplay from me or just come hang out, you can check out my Twitch. And we are sponsored by What the Fast. They are a VPN for gamers. They give me better ping to my favorite game, and they are free to try. So if you guys want to try them out, you can. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you guys love this build. Hope to see you guys again next time. Have a great night, everyone.